story time with Mama G. Come and hear a story with me. Love who you want to be, who you are. Learn these lessons and we'll go far. It's story time. Story time. Story time with Mama G.
Hello everybody, it's Mama G here, and thank you for joining me for more stories about being who you are and loving who you want. I have got some good ones for you today. I've got two that I've written, and I've got another one provided courtesy of my gorgeous friends at Andersen Press. Now, how on earth are all of you? Are you having a lovely summer holiday? I really hope you are. And don't forget that I love to know what books you're reading as part of the Summer Reading Challenge. And you can let me know by finding me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for @MamaGStories. But now, I think it might be time for the first story. Now, this story is about a very silly noise. So before I tell the story, why don't you tell me what is your favourite silly noise? Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, yes, that's a good one. Yeah. Lovely. Lots and lots of very silly noises. Well, let me tell you what my favourite silly noise is. Well, I've got a few, actually. I really like this one. I don't know why I find that funny, but I do, my darlings. I know that not everyone does, so sorry if that made your stomach turn a little bit. I also like this one. Oh, you know, when you see somebody do something they shouldn't, or you hear some gossip and you go, oh. And then I like, this is my favourite one. My absolute favourite, and I reckon you're going to like it too. It goes like this. That's my favourite silly noise ever! Now, how many of you did I match up with? Who had that as a favourite silly noise as well? You can let me know on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube. Don't forget. Well, I hope you like that noise, because we're going to be making that noise a lot during this story. Now, you're going to know when to make that noise, because I'm going to hold up this sign. That's it. It's like a gust of wind coming out of a bottle. So it is this noise. Lovely. And whenever I hold it up, I want you to make that noise. All right, you ready? So this story is called The Billy Goat's Guff. Once upon a time, there lived 3 goats. Billy Goat, Millie Goat, and Vanilli Goat. If you know, you know. Millie, Vanilli, and Billy were all sisters, but nobody liked Billy. She was the underdog, or under-goat, if you will. All because of one thing. Billy guffed all the time. That's it. And by guffed, I mean farted. Broke wind, windy popped, bottom burped, passed gas, and generally caused a great big stink. For as long as Billy could remember, she had always been a farter. And because of that, Millie, Vanilli, and the other goats always stayed away. Billy was so lonely, all because of who she was. Millie and Vanilli, on the other hand, were as close as 2 siblings could be. They did everything together, just to make sure that they didn't have to do anything with Billy. And Billy definitely wasn't included in their dream of becoming pop stars. Having a sister that guffed all the time wasn't going to be a good look for Millie or Vanilli. The Jonas Brothers didn't get where they are by farting all the time, did they? Despite how their music sounds. Anyway, their dream was soon to become a reality. The next door farm was holding a bleating competition. The grand prize was going to be a recording contract and all the hay you could eat. This was too good an opportunity to miss. There was just one problem. The farm was across the river, and that meant going over the bridge, which neither Millie, Vanilli, Billy, or any of the other goats had done for a really long time. Why, I hear you ask? Well, underneath that bridge lived a troll. The most terrifying troll that you could ever imagine. And I don't mean a Twitter troll. I mean a real, giant, crazy-eyed, grisly troll that liked to tear goats limb from limb and have them for his elevenses. And this troll is the troll that stood between Milli Vanilli and worldwide fame. They had to get across the bridge, and their goat friends wanted to come with them too. But what were they going to do? Milli and Vanilli hatched a plan, but it wasn't a very nice one, because it would almost certainly end with Billy being torn limb from limb and eaten for their elevenses. All the goats marched down to the bridge. They started trying to cross, but the troll woke up from his slumber. "Who dares cross my bridge?" boomed the troll. Milli stood her ground, but all the other goats ran up the hill. "Oh, it's only me, trying to get to the other side," the troll shouted. "But this is my bridge. Anyone who even steps a toe on it will get torn limb from limb and eaten for my elevenses." Milli said, "Oh, no. Oh, you don't want to do that. I'm very gristly, not an ounce of fat on me. You should wait for my sister. She's much bigger than I am." The troll thought about it and definitely wanted to eat a fatter goat. So he let Milli cross the bridge. When she got to the other side, she waved at Vanilli. Vanilli trotted onto the bridge. The troll said, "Who dares cross my bridge?" "Ow! Oh, it's only me. Oh, I'm just trying to get to the other side." "But this is my bridge," shouted the troll. "Anyone who even steps a toe on it will get torn limb from limb and eaten for my elevenses." "Oh, no. Oh, you don't want to do that." "Oh, I'm very gristly, not an ounce of fat on me. You should wait for my sister. Oh, she's much bigger than I am." The troll thought about it and definitely wanted to eat an even fatter goat. So he let Vanilli cross the bridge. When she got to the other side, she waved at Billy. Billy couldn't believe she was finally part of the gang, so she trotted onto the bridge, stepped on it, and the troll immediately started laughing. "This is the fat goat! This is the tiniest, scrawniest goat that I have ever seen! How dare you think that this would be a snack for me? Now there's only one thing that I can do. I think I'm going to have to eat all of you." The troll started to climb out of the river. Billy's knees started to knock. She was getting nervous. Oh, she was starting to panic. And she felt like she might need to go to the toilet. And before she knew it, she farted, broke wind, windy popped, bottom burped, passed gas, and guffed, the most obnoxious smelling guff that anyone had ever guffed. And then she guffed again, and again, and again, guff after guff after guff after guff. All the goats were far enough away that they were safe, but the troll felt the full force of Billy's fumes. They went right up his nose, into his brain, and before he knew it, he was swaying every which way across the bridge, and then slam! He fell off the bridge into the river, and all the goats watched the troll drift off towards the sea. There was a second of silence, and then, yay! Every single goat started cheering for Billy. They rushed towards her and raised her up on their haunches. Billy had saved every single one of them from the terrifying troll just by being herself. Billy had never known a feeling like it. Billy was a hero. They all went to the competition. Millie and Vanilli won. They had a short-lived pop career that ended in scandal when it was discovered it wasn't their bleats on the track. Again, if you know, you know. But Billy was always a hero. And Billy would always be herself. Billy didn't know why she was the way she was. All she needed to know was that who she wasn't wrong. So always believe in yourself, because there's always a reason that you're you. And sometimes that reason is a guff. The end. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Well, that was the Billy Goat's Gruff as you have never heard them before, and I do hope you enjoyed that story, because it is rather silly, isn't it? And I don't know if you guessed this about me, but I do really enjoy being just the winsiest bit daft. And now I have another story for you, but as you listened so well to the Billy Goat's Gruff, and it was a story that I wrote myself, I have brought a story with me written by somebody else. Now, this is a very exciting book. Where is it? It is called Slug Needs a Hug, and it is by Jeanne Willis with illustrations by Tony Ross. Now, you might know this combination. Jeanne Willis is a very funny children's author, and she writes some very silly stories with her wild imagination. And one of my favourite stories that Jeanne Willis has written is called Crocodile, and it's about a crocodile that finds a dress in the jungle and finds a new lease of life, and it's a wonderful, life-affirming but terribly joyous book as well. And then Tony Ross, he's the man that he drew the pictures. You can't write pictures, can you? He drew the pictures, and he's very famous for his series of books called The Little Princess. And the Little Princess always gets up to all sorts of mischief, and she is such a wonderful and delightful character. Now, this book is provided by Andersen Press, and it was shortlisted for the Laugh Out Loud Book Awards. So it must be pretty blooming good, and I'm very excited to share it with you, because it did indeed make me laugh out loud when I first read it. And let me find the right page for you, my darlings. Here we go. Once upon a timey, there was a little slimy, spotty, shiny, whiny slug. He was wet and weedy, very, very needy, and always greedy for a hug. His mummy didn't hug him. It began to bug him, and he wondered, why, oh why, is she never snuggly, because I am so ugly? Said Sluggy with a soggy little sigh. He spoke to other creatures with very different features and asked them what they thought to do to make himself more huggable, less slithery and sluggable, for sadly Sluggy didn't have a clue. Perhaps if you were furrier and fluffier and purrier, said Kitten, then your mum might hug you tight. So Slug put a woolly hat on, with a picture of a cat on, and a furry jacket, just in case she might. You look funny, chummy, if you want a hug from mummy, said Bird. You need some feathers and a beak. Piglet roared with laughter. If it's hugs the slug is after, he needs trotters and a tail and a squeak. With trotter's tail and coat, and beak and feathers, Slug met Goat, who told him that he looked a little weird. If you want a hug, my friend, you need horns stuck on the end, and get yourself a handsome goatee beard. Slug did as Goat suggested, and he sensibly invested in some horns and a moustache made of string. Moth looked aghast and muttered, and he whispered as he fluttered, Slug, You need some wings, you silly little thing. Slug made himself a pair. He couldn't fly into the air. His wings were scarlet petals from a rose. Although he smelled delightful, Fox declared that he looked frightful, and he'd never get a hug without a nose. Should I lose the beak, thought Slug, if I really want a hug? Would Mummy love me more with just a snout? There was very little space to wear them both upon his face, but Sluggy did, in case of any doubt. Slug gazed into the brook at his astonishing new look, and barely recognized his own reflection. "If she doesn't hug you now, then she never will," said Cow, as she gave the slug a head-to-tail inspection. Hoping Cow was right, Slug chugged slowly home that night to show his mum his fabulous disguise. But after all he'd done, she didn't recognize her son. "Mother, it is me," said Slug. "Surprise!" "But I love you as you are. You're the sweetest slug by far," said Ma. "You have been very greatly missed. You're beautiful and charming. If I could, I'd hug you, darling." But alas, she had no arms, and so they kissed. The end. Oh, isn't that a silly book, but isn't it also a wonderful story? You should never change who you are, because who you are is always worthy of a hug. And also, it does demonstrate that people show love in many, many different ways. And just because they're not showing you love in the way you would expect doesn't mean they haven't got their own way of showing how much they love you. Well, thank you to Andersen Press for allowing me to read Slug Needs a Hug. And thank you to Jeanne Willis and Tony Ross for writing such a wonderful book. Now, I think it is time for one last Mama G story, and this is an absolute Mama G classic because it is one of, well, in fact, it is the first story that I ever wrote, and it is the story that started me on this wonderful journey of telling you wonderful people stories about being who you are and loving who you want. Now, I am very excited that one of my dear friends, Anoushka Sutherland, who is also an artist, was able to illustrate the story for me. She really has done a wonderful job. So I'm going to show you her illustrations as I narrate the story. So this is The Fairies, Fran and Vera.
Fran was a fairy. Vile Vera was one too. They lived together in fairyland where dreams seemed to come true. Fabulous Fran does good things. Oh, she loves to make you smile. While Vera has her wicked ways. That's why they call her vile. Now, good things come in many forms, like deeds and open hearts. And Fran knew this very well. You see, she was very smart. But vile Vera thought differently. She wanted the world to be bad. She wanted it full of hate, not love. And she wanted to make us mad. "Coffee?" asked Vera at breakfast. Oh, don't mind if I do," said Fran. "And what have you got to do today?" "Oh, I've got a plan." "A plan?" said Fran. "Oh, that can't be good. What are you up to, Vera?" The coffee poured. Our villain implored that Fran move a little nearer. "You know, silly Billy, whose address is the Fair Lawns Fairyland. He told me something the other day I'm struggling to understand. He's fallen in love." Oh, what's wrong with that?" said Fran, bubbling over with joy. "Here's the fact. My problem's that he's fallen in love with a boy. A boy? Oh, boy, that's wonderful. Fran had been waiting to hear news like this for years. But, said Vera with a tut, I'm going to make sure this ends in tears. Everyone knows that love is for a boy and girl to share. So if I get my way, by the end of this day, of this fact Billy will be well aware. With a wave of my wand, Billy should see just what his life could be. So, Vera gave a quick curse and Billy landed face first amongst the jam and coffee. Fran screamed. Vera laughed. Billy's face was in the butter. Now to find you the perfect girl. Not words you want Vera to utter. A fanfare played, and in a glitter haze, Millie walked into their lives. Oh, she's pretty, said Billy. Yes, I am, and I'd be the perfect wife. When it comes to looks, I'm by the books. Billy said, well, that can't be disputed. And what about you? You're handsome too. Millie thought she and he were well suited, but they weren't, for one reason, and I bet you know why. You'd be my perfect wife, Millie, if only you were a guy. And just like that, Millie vanished away in a puff of smoke. Oh, said Fran, oh, I tell you what, I can't wait to meet your bloke. But vile Vera's villainous ways continued with spells and drama until there appeared, and they were amazed, a furry, friendly llama. Have you lost your mind? Said Fran, kindly offering the llama some tea, when through the door burst Lily. Don't worry, she's with me. I'm a llama farmer, and this one escaped. Oof, she's got a mind of her own. Mind you, so have I, they say. That's why I live alone. Then, to the llama's alarm, it was in Lily's arms and being taken out of the house. Lily made the llama look so light you thought the llama might have been a mouse. Third time lucky, cried Vera, as Fran saw one of her worst fears. Vile Vera was getting so angry, steam was coming out her ears. Her face went red, her blood was boiling, and then before they knew it, she flew into 1,000 pieces. Oh, look, said Fran, she blew it. The pieces fell back into place, and this they thought was strange. Instead of seeing Vera's face, they saw her, rearranged. What the what? Billy exclaimed, and Fran did much the same. Are you all right, Vera, dear? If indeed Vera's still your name? Oh, of course it's not. I'm now called Dot. Do you think you'd get along with me? Well, said Billy. Well, I have always thought I could be a friend of Dorothy's. Dot looked at Fran askance, and frankly Billy wondered why. Is that all I am to him? She said. A friend? I may just cry. And so the waterworks began. Tears poured forth from Dot's face. I'm very clever, you see. I've got a degree in gender politics and race. And Fran dabbed Dot's eyes with a hanky and said, oh gosh, oh, you are very smart, but not enough to know why you've not got Billy's heart. And Dot howled, and Dot wailed, and her tears became a river, until Dot washed herself away, and all that was left was Vera. Enough's enough, said Fran. Oh, I have to intervene. Forcing someone to be something they're not is very, very mean. Billy is a good boy, and he loves a good boy too. And honestly, Vera, who Billy loves isn't up to you. Oh, yes, it is, said Vera, shooting her wand at Fran. Oh, no, it isn't, said Fran, shooting her wand right back. Is? Isn't. They were both under attack. Billy stood there, eyes agog and gob down to the floor. Sparks were flying around the room. Who knew what was in store? Then there was a crash, and then a flash, and then a silence fell. Between them the fairies had magicked a man Billy knew quite well. The man was holding a library's worth of books. To Fran that was clever and strong, while Vera just said, "Oh, he's pretty," and she pretty well wasn't wrong. Billy's eyes were wider than ever, and his smile was from ear to ear. "Oh, Sam, my love, oh, it's good to see you. I'm really pleased you're here." The boys hugged, held hands, and beamed with pride. And for the first time Vera got it. Love should never have to hide, and no one has the right to stop it.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Please do let me know what you thought. But for now, I'm afraid to tell you, my darlings, it's the end of the show. It's time for me to go. I am so sad, but don't worry, I will be back next week with more silly stories. And don't forget, in the meantime, if you're missing me, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for @MamaGStories. But now I am going to finish my session in my traditional way with a story about what makes... with a song about what makes us happy, because the thing that makes you happiest is the thing that makes you you, and you know by now that the thing that makes me happiest is being a panto dame. So if you know the actions to this song, then you can join in, have a little bit of a boogie, and clap your hands. Here we go. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're tired of wearing hats, then wear a wig. Whoop, woo! If you're tired of wearing hats, then wear a wig. Whoop, woo! If you're tired of wearing hats, I can help you out with that. If you're tired of wearing hats, then wear a wig. Whoop, woo! If sequins are your style, then shimmy and shake. Ooh! If sequins are your style, then shimmy and shake. Ooh! If sequins are your style, and you really want to smile, if sequins are your style, then shimmy and shake. Ooh! If you're good at telling jokes, then have a laugh. Ah, 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 ah. If you're good at telling jokes, then have a laugh. Ah, 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 ah. If you're good at telling jokes, better than the other folks. If you're good at telling jokes, then have a laugh. Ah, 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 ah. If you're feeling fabulous, then shout, I am, I am. If you're feeling fabulous, then shout, I am, I am. If you're feeling fabulous, just like the rest of us. If you're feeling fabulous, then shout, I am, I am. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. I will see you next week. Enjoy the rest of your holidays.
It's story time with Mama G. Come and hear a story with me. Love who you want to be, who you are. Learn these lessons and we'll go far. It's story time. Story time. Story time.